You can turn on ESPN, you can turn on Fox. They're not going to tell you the truth. BYU had the resume of a playoff team. Houston just beats LSU from the SEC. And the Big 12 is so much better at football than anyone wants you to understand. And they get paid to tell you otherwise. This is the truth. And this is Locked On Big 12.
You are Locked On Big 12, your daily podcast on the Big 12 Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Sunday, everybody. Welcome into Locked On Big 12. I'm Drake Toll from America's #1 Big 12 podcast, Locked On Big 12. Thank you for making this show your first listen every single day. BYU over Georgia Tech yesterday. Houston over LSU. The Big 12 beats the ACC and the SEC. And it's weird because the narrative that I've heard all year is that the Big 12 is a group of five league and just not good enough to compete with the Power 2. And, we shouldn't take the Big 12 seriously. And the BYU doesn't deserve a playoff spot because they didn't beat anybody. They're in a joke of a conference. And that overall, this entire thing should be the SEC, the Big 10, and a couple of ACC teams named Miami, Clemson, and Florida State, and everybody else should be left out. I have numbers right here to prove you this is the biggest screw job since, the Big 12 got screwed in 2014 when Gary Patterson and TCU were number 3 in the country, won a football game. They won a football game in the regular season, week 12, 55-3, and got moved from the 3rd spot in America to the 6th spot in America. Why? Well, the eye test. Gambling Gauchos, this is a Texas Tech account, tweets, BYU when not playing Texas Tech this year. 12-0. 12-0. When not playing a top 4 team in the country, they are undefeated. The only other teams that can say that, Alabama cannot say that. The only other teams that can say that are teams like Oregon, who are in the playoff. Ohio State in the playoff. Texas Tech cannot even claim to be undefeated against teams outside of the top 4 teams in the country who got byes in the playoff. 12-0. 3-0 this year versus ranked opponents. 4 wins, 0 losses against teams with 9+ wins when not playing Texas Tech this year. 4-0 with teams that are 9 or more wins. 6-0 versus teams with 8+ wins, and TCU could collect a 9th win against USC. Gambling Gauchos says it, and I think it's the quiet part said out loud. It shouldn't even be the quiet part. Why do we even call it the quiet part? BYU was a college football playoff team. And there is somebody out there right now, you've probably already gotten your keyboard. You're doing the Cornelius right now. You've already gotten your keyboard. You're a Colorado fan. You're a UCF fan. You're a Texas Tech fan. You're a Baylor fan. And you're saying, well, why in the world is this guy talking about this again? I can't believe he's going to have this conversation every other day. Do you grasp the fact that this is going to be you? It as much as there is kind of this, I truly believe there is a national bias against BYU for things that have happened over the course of the last 5 decades. And it's not reasonable. It shouldn't be that way. But there is this religious aspect that goes into it as well. And I've talked about that on other shows. It's not what today is about. That's a bit of the underlying issue of what happens to BYU specifically. But I think the bigger issue is for the Big 12. The bigger issue is that a couple of years from now, it'll be Cincinnati, it'll be UCF, it'll be Houston. Next year, it could be Houston, Baylor, TCU, where college football, the playoff committee look at them and say, oh, they were 12-0 against any team not ranked in the top 4, went to their conference championship, undefeated outside of that top 4 team against 9-0 teams, 8-0 teams, bowl teams. They had a hard schedule, a better strength of record, a better strength of schedule than teams like Miami and Notre Dame that we have ranked highly in this playoff system. We're going to leave them out. That's going to be you. We've set the precedence right now. The precedent is set. That's going to be you, Arizona. That's going to be you, TCU. It's going to be you, Iowa State, Oklahoma State, in a couple of years if something doesn't change. And maybe the biggest issue with this is not the ESPN side. It's Brett Yormark. It's Brett Yormark saying that, I think the committee got it right. Oh, great. BYU Provo tweets, BYU's wins in 2025 versus 11-win Utah. Yeah. 10-win Arizona on the road. 9-win Georgia Tech, 9-win ECU, 8-win Iowa State, 9-win TCU. And the College Football Playoff Committee said, man, they're not good enough. What? I'm looking at what ESPN did specifically in the game yesterday to BYU, and they didn't even research. These are people paid millions of dollars to learn about college football. By the way, we don't pay them millions of dollars to learn about all 133 teams. So when, and I need you to know this, if a talking head wants to defend themselves by saying, oh, and this goes for Josh Payne, it goes for Booger McFarland, it goes for Joel Klatt, it goes for Drake Toll. If a talking head wants to say to you, well, there are 133 college football teams out there, I'm not sure if I can know everything about all of them. I'm not asking you to. America's not asking you to. If you cannot tell me the starting wide receiver group at FIU, we're going to be okay. My viewership, my listenership experience is not going to be different because of that. But I am asking you to know pretty accurately the top 20, top 15. The top 15 is bare minimum for the money they're making. Top 15 teams in the country. Ryan Bennion tweets, ESPN's research for the BYU game. Booger McFarland says LJ Martin is the key to the game. He had surgery last week, shoulder surgery, and didn't play. McKay Hillstead, ESPN said in the middle of the game, he likes to be used in that run game. 4 carries, 27 yards all season long. They said JoJo Phillips, first catch since Stanford. So wait a second. I watched him play in the Big 12 championship game. He did 6 catches in the month of November. JoJo Phillips was back for November. Carson Ryan on the return. What I don't think I've seen Carson Ryan return a punt or a kickoff once this season. Why would you ever have? Why would you ever have your tight end returning punts or kickoffs? That's what you get from the national networks. They don't want you to be touted. If you're in the Big 12, they don't want you to be touted if you're BYU. You won't hear anybody talk about Houston beating LSU because it doesn't fit the narrative. Because we've gone away from and I'm not even asking these people to be true journalists. You don't have to be in the locker room asking the coach questions and digging for things. I'm asking you to be fair. To be fair. They can't do it because the money got too big. Because the money they're paid to be unfair got too big. And that is what's ruining college football right now. I hope you see it. I hope it sucks for you. I hope you don't like watching it. I hope it ruins the experience for you because for me, it's not very fun to see. And I'm hopeful desperately that at some point the money doesn't matter to an extent that we can all say, hey, fine. We'll be fair again about college football, but I don't see us getting there. I don't see us any closer today than we were last week. And you would believe after beating the SEC, you believe after BYU goes out and proves it against Georgia Tech that, hey, we are a really good football team that beat a team that was in the playoff, 4 weeks ago, that would be a different conversation of fine. We believe you now. You're good, but no, still nothing. Coming up, LSU lost to Houston, and it wasn't even as close as the score. This is Locked On Big 12. Today's show is brought to you by Rugiet. Men, it's a conversation we don't like to have very often, but I think we should have it. We can have it right here, right now, to an extent. It's time to get Rugiet ready. Stress from work, money, life doesn't just switch off when night rolls around. Rugiet Ready is a next-generation prescription treatment created to support both the brain and the body. You can feel present, confident, and ready when the moment matters. Rugiet Ready combines 3 clinically proven ingredients in 1 mint that dissolves under your tongue so it absorbs fast. Science behind Rugiet Ready stands out. 3 clinically proven ingredients, 1 formula designed for both mental and physical readiness. You connect with a board-certified doctor online, and everything ships discreetly to your door. Easy to understand why over 150,000 men have made the switch. If you've been thinking about taking the next steps, now's the time. Go to Rugiet.com/LockedOnCollege, RUGIET.com/LockedOnCollege to get 15% off your order for a limited time. Rugiet Ready. Feel present, feel confident, feel ready with Rugiet. Here's a fun fact they won't tell you in school. The Big 12 just beat the SEC. Well, that SEC team, they didn't even want to be there. You can make all the excuses you want. LSU, this is a crazy number. You ready for this number? This is what's going to blow you away. LSU has 66 players that are 4 or 5 stars. 22 players are starting. 11 players can be on the football field at one given time. And LSU has 66 of them, 4 or 5 stars. So if you tell me, well, their top 10 best players opted out. Oh, their top 5 best players opted out. Okay. Well, that doesn't change the fact that Houston has 6 4 and 5 star players to your 66, and that when your top 10 players opt out, you still have 56 4 or 5 star players. The talent discrepancy on the field per 24/7, and maybe this is a bigger conversation about how 24/7 ranks these players and how that's a broken system as well. But you just went out there with a much more talented team. I'm seeing that on paper. You're telling me this is a much more talented team, and you lost the football game. You've got blue chips across the field, and you allowed 38 points to the Houston Cougars. I remember just a couple of weeks ago, this same LSU team allowing less points to mighty Oklahoma, who got to host a game in the college football playoff. I was alive for that. I'm old enough to remember that. 38 Houston points, and the best part of this is they spotted LSU 14, opening kickoff, taken back for a touchdown. Oop, not good. Immediately, Houston gives the ball back to LSU. Bang, instant touchdown. Also not good. I mean, I sat here. I'm sometimes a genius, and I go into my FanDuel and I click live bet and I put $50 live on Houston to win like $150. I thought it's too early. Houston's the better team, and they were the better team. On paper, maybe they're not as talented, maybe they're not as athletic, but who gives a rip about what's on paper when we actually play the games? And that's something that I'm not sure many people understand. It is sad that we rate these teams. Houston feels this, BYU feels this, Arizona was late to the game to be ranked this year. They feel this. We rank these teams based off of some arbitrary star system that is pay for play. So Rivals, 24/7, CBS, ESPN, as they're rating these players, if you get an offer from Michigan, you're going to gain a star. If you get an offer from BYU, you're not going to gain a star. So it doesn't actually tell you how good the players are. This composite that we built doesn't tell you how good the players are. It tells you how strong their offers are. That is a broken system. What it leads to is schools like LSU being, we're so much better than Houston. We have 66 players that are 4 or 5 stars. Them on paper being so good that ESPN doesn't give a second thought about Houston. They only care about LSU because something told us that they are a far better football team. But when we actually play the game on the field, Houston has more points when it's over. Houston wins the contest. And then it's radio silence after that. What happened to accountability? What happened to shame? I've had wrong predictions before. I said BYU was going to win the Big 12 championship game. And then I came out and said, look, I was wrong. I watched the first game. I should have just stuck with what happened in the first game. I was rooting for the Big 12 to get 2 teams into the college football playoff. I was wrong. When's the last time you turned on a national network and heard someone say, I was wrong? Maybe the SEC isn't that good. You won't. And here's why. Because they have stock. They have bought stock in the SEC. They have paid $1 billion to the SEC to allow them to broadcast their games on ABC and ESPN. And because of that, they cannot tell you what they actually think. Their bosses are telling them, make our stocks look better. Even when the ground is falling out from underneath you, you tell them all is great in the SEC. All is rosy. Make some excuse for LSU. But then I'm here to tell you that if their excuse is, well, the whole team opted out. Well, the whole team wasn't even playing. Well, they didn't even want to play. The interim coach was so fired up about this game, he got a personal foul yelling at the referees. At halftime, berated his team because he wanted to win so bad. So much of that staff wanted to win so bad. It's become such a theatrical joke in the SEC. And it maybe doesn't start with Lane Kiffin, but that's certainly part of this. So you have an LSU team that goes out to compete, and now the excuse is, well, they didn't have all their players. But then I just told you they had at least 50 more blue chip guys on the field than Houston as they started rotating in and out. That's significant. And then Lane Kiffin shows up, the head coach at LSU, wearing a leather jacket, Indiana Kiffin, wearing his leather jacket in the broadcast booth and talking about plastic baggies in the middle of a game where Houston's scoring a touchdown. And he's up there and he leaves right after he's done. Did you see this? Lane Kiffin does his ESPN interview with his LSU squad on the field, gets up out of the chair, walks out of the stadium. Doesn't stay for the rest of the game. He's done. It's over. I'm good. We're good, guys. And, the cameras are off. All right, sweet. Bye, everybody. It's theater. It's a reality TV show. It is not built for the viewer experience. It's not built for you to enjoy it. It's not built for it to be good. It's not built for it to be football. It is built for you to watch it as some AI slop, as some Desperate Housewives, Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, Big Brother slop. Oh, you like Survivor? Well, you'll love the SEC. We have just as much drama and flair. Do we have good football? I don't know. We've missed the national championship game altogether the last 2 years. In the last 3 years, the Big 12 and the SEC have had the same number of teams go to the national championship game. Didn't see that stat anywhere else today, did you? That's what this is built for. You don't talk about sheeple. We'll talk about opening your eyes. All these sheep. SEC fans. I saw another tweet this week. They're selling belts, a belt with all 16 SEC team logos on it. Why would I ever wear, if I'm a Texas fan, an Arkansas logo, an Oklahoma logo? Why would I ever do that? I wouldn't. But the delusion of the SEC makes you want to. It's pitiful what we're being subjected to from college football because the haves don't know how to control themselves. It's true. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel's exactly where I go to win money on Houston. Middle of the game, 14-0. Great. Houston money line. Cha-ching. That's the best part of this whole thing is the live betting. And right now, the FanDuel has this all-new feature too, NBA Happy Hour. It's your official pregame. Limited time window where special offers drop right inside the FanDuel app before the action starts. Fridays from 6 to 7:30 Eastern have become the appointment viewing for NBA Happy Hour. So before tip-off, check the FanDuel app, see what's going on in the NBA Happy Hour, 6 to 7:30 Eastern. A little basketball, a little action, and a whole lot of Friday energy. That's NBA Happy Hour only on FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA is FanDuel. Well, we'll have a full week of shows. And tomorrow, the Drake Toll Show on Westwood One. On the Westwood One app. And wherever YouTube, it's on YouTube as well. You can Google it, the Drake Toll Show, and something will come up, I'm sure. This has been It Always Will Be Locked On. Thanks for making it your first listen every single day. Dose Grande.